But I want to get into John Blackthorne's character real
Yeah,
quick.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Because I thought it was very hard to dictate where his character was gonna go. We knew he wanted to stay on Toranaga's side and make him a captain and fight for him. Like he wanted that. But in my head, like, why was he there in the first place? Why did he go there in the first place? Because most of the stuff that he found out was like we never figured out like why he was there in the first place, unless I missed it.
I think what they were trying to imply was, and I could be wrong about this, right? But like we know he left the family in England, right? So we know he's coming from a background where he has been disenfranchised with the Western worlds, right? Like, and so I got the impression that he was basically always out for money and trying to smuggle goods or at least deliver goods in and out of Japan. And the Western powers were like, whether it was Catholic powers or Protestant powers, I guess the Protestant powers were coming from England at the time, I guess, and then the Catholic powers were coming from primarily from Spain and Portugal. And so he's basically looking at this like, look, I'm going to disrupt what Japan is doing with the Catholic powers, not because I'm Protestant and I care about what kind of faith they have, but rather because I'm just looking for a quick buck and this is the best way for me to get it. So I might as well do this.
See, I didn't get that hint from John.
Well, you might be right. You might be right. I might be getting it wrong, but that's kind of the impression. That's maybe what I put on top of his character.
See, the way I looked at him was like in the beginning where he was showing where I guess Spain or Portugal had not a base, but like they took over this certain area where he kind of got on Toranaga's side where he was explaining in the sand. So it kind of looked like he was, he had a military background. Like he knew, he was doing. My initial thought, and I could going into season 2 or 3, I could possibly have a point, but as of right now, I don't. I thought he was like the Queen of England's son or nephew or some kind of family member that she told him to go down to the Japans, he says it, the Japans, and try to get them to get on their side for Spain and Portugal. So, but I thought because when she Mariko first went to John when he was bathing in and she asked who he was, or kind of, he didn't really explain his background. Like he didn't give much detail. So I was like, oh shit, he could be like royalty. Like I thought eventually he was gonna say like he's some kind of royalty.
I mean, you could be right when he pictures himself. I don't know if it's him projecting himself into the future or if it's like really him in the future, like looking back on his life. I wasn't sure which one it was. But he does look pretty wealthy. I mean, it looks like he made some money. He has the grandkids running around or whatever, right? Like, you could be right. The only counterpoint I have to that is that I took that scene to mean that he was trying not to tell her that his intentions were so basic, right? Because like her intentions, she lives her entire life with like principled and like, this is why we do things. I would not do something. I would not ever like just live life for money. I would live life for God. If I'm not living life for God, I would live life for my tradition and my country. And then he's kind of like, well, I don't want to tell you that all I do is live life for money. That's how I took it. But you could be 100% right. He could have like a secret ulterior motive. I think the reason why I didn't think that was because later on, when he is basically committing himself to Toranaga, even though he doesn't really want to, even at that point, he's still kind of bitter about it. He feels like he's been manipulated into that, but he also loves what Mariko loves. And so he's trying to like, I don't know, he's trying to learn through her eyes about what it means to like take a stand for things. And so he doesn't really like what Toranaga is doing, but he also thinks that like, well, what Mariko has shown me is that like, this is important for Japan, not just for Toranaga. So I'll get behind him. That's my interpretation of it. My interpretation is that when he goes to look for his sailors and he sees that they're just like drunk off their ass and like total assholes, that he's like, that was me when I got here. Like, it was just, I was out for just like trying to do stuff and like do whatever. It didn't matter. The people didn't matter. The culture didn't matter. I was just out to make money. Now to your point, he could just be like, when I came here, I didn't really care about the Japans, you know.
Yeah.
I just cared about the war aspect, or like the overcoming of the Catholic powers. That could be true too. Like, you could read it
Yeah.
both, like, either way. But that was, I mean, like, he definitely, I think, saw himself in his soldiers and was like, this is messed up. Like, we can't just keep going about life this way. This is not
Yeah.
right. But it's a good theory. I mean, we're not going to know until season 2,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, his character was very hard at first to like kind of
Yeah.
get in his head to
Yeah.
figure out what he truly wants.
Yeah.
The only thing that was really obvious that he wanted was Mariko. Like, that
Yep.
was the one thing that was obvious. And of course he wanted his ship back. His ship with the P, not his shit, but he wanted his ship back. And then Mariko pretty much saved his life by burning that shit down.
Mhm.
And that was another thing that was like, wow, like she knew keeping him there was that important, to where she's the one who burnt his ship down,
Yeah.
and to keep him there. Because if you remember the Christian, I think it was the father or priest, he was taking him to the woods to kill him, or
Yeah,
he was
that's right.
supposed to be
Yeah.
killed in those woods, but then he was like, no, Mariko bargained for your life, and
Yeah.
and this is what she had to do it.
Yeah.
And this was before, before she knew. That's why I think she knew she was gonna die when she went to go see Ishido.
Yeah.
Like, that she had to have in her head that I'm going to die here.
Yeah.
So